All right, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is Mason Stevenson, editor of the HR Exchange Network. Today we have on the podcast Rob Ollander Krane. He's the head of talent planning and performance at Gap. He's going to be a speaker at our Chief Talent Officer Exchange in March. That runs March 18th through the 20th in Orlando. His presentation is a case study on the reinvention of performance management, less pain, more gain. Rob, thanks for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
Very good, sir. So we're going to get right into the first question. What are the three biggest challenges, in your opinion, to innovating performance management?
Well, there's probably a lot more than three, but I'll start by saying that most leaders and employees have only known traditional performance management. That's goal setting at the beginning of the year, probably never looking at those goals again until the end of the year. Maybe a little bit of feedback all year long, but the vast majority of feedback being delivered in an annual review associated with a rating, associated with compensation. That's pretty much what people know. And they believe, because this is all they've ever done, that is the way to do performance management, that it's scientifically grounded. And what I've learned in the last 2 years and what science will support is that that's not the best way to actually drive performance, that there's other things that you need to do, and one of them is not giving people a rating that creates kind of a threat response in the brains of most employees. So getting people to sort of make that transition to go from that more traditional process that is the only thing they've ever known to something different of any kind is tough, because lots of leaders think that that's the right way to drive performance. I think the second thing is that ratings are connected to compensation. And when you start to suggest to people that we remove ratings, leaders in particular struggle because they don't know how they will allocate rewards in a ratingless world and how they'll differentiate performance. And of course, there's plenty of ways to do it without a rating, without putting a label on it. Those are probably the two biggest ones that I would mention here and now. I could go on for 20 more minutes about some of the challenges that we had.
So thinking about those challenges, how do you mitigate or solve those?
Well, one of the things that we did was to do a lot of research and to get really clear on what we believe does and does not drive performance, and to sort of package that research in a way that we could share it with our CEO, our C-suite, and all of our leaders so that they could come to the same conclusions we did, which is that the things that we have been doing really don't work as well as we want them to do. So you have to sort of sell it. You have to make the case study based in facts and science and data. And I think it works if you can get people's attention. Leaders are very busy, and performance management isn't in the top topics on their list to discuss at any given time. But helping them to understand the research, what really drives performance, can help change that. I had the luxury of having a CEO who really wanted to change performance management, but he was trying to make it simpler. That was his mandate, make it simpler. I had to go back to him and say, I can make it simpler, but I'd also like to make it more effective, and I had to start by selling him. And once I got him rallied around it, pretty much the rest of the company came along for the ride.
Okay, so you went through this process, you came up with a new strategy. From your side of things, what are some of the positive outcomes of embracing that new strategy?
Oh, there's a lot of positive outcomes. Well, I'll start by saying that when we announced we were getting rid of reviews and ratings, all of our employees cheered. There was lots of excitement about the fact that we were getting rid of this cumbersome administrative process that the vast majority of managers and employees don't like. So that was an immediate positive outcome. We saw at the end of the first year, for the populations that we had rolled this new program out to, an incredible increase in the number of conversations that managers were having with their employees about performance. Our process required one conversation a month. We called it the touch base. And this conversation was to focus on all the things that are talent related. So your goals, are they relevant? Your career, your development, not the tactics of work. And when we surveyed our employees, we found that 90% had said they were having these monthly conversations, which we thought was amazing. And we asked 3 quality questions, and the responses to the quality questions, again, were all really positive. And the quality questions were things like, are these conversations helping you drive your performance? Is your manager helping you learn from your successes and failures and apply that learning to the future? And does the way in which your manager give you feedback make you want to get more? So that was the second indicator that something was working well here, that people were liking what we were driving in the organization from a performance management perspective, and that maybe there was actually some real increase in individual performance as a result of it. And then the third sort of indicator I think that was positive is my CHRO used to get, 40, 50 calls from senior leaders at the end of the year complaining about their merit, their bonus, their review, something in the review ticked them off, whatever it was, they were not happy about that. In the end of this first year, he got 1 call. And our comp team, which usually reported that the phones rang off the hook at the end of the year when we were doing our year-end process, said it was like a non-event. It just happened. So I realized there's a lot of things that we did to get to that conclusion, but those were 3 indicators to me that what we were doing was having a positive impact on the organization.
So this will be the last question, and it may or may not be the more difficult question. Looking at the flip side of that, what were some of the difficulties embracing the strategy? What were some of the things that maybe you felt like we needed to do better, or things that we learned that we can do better, or places where we need to grow?
Yeah, so I'll say that from a philosophy perspective, we had no difficulty. People got what we were driving when we explained it, and they understood from the science that this is really what drives performance. What's difficult is, again, that people are not used to doing anything other than traditional performance management. So when you're asking them to do something different, there's a lot of heavy lifting to get them to understand exactly what to do. A lot of managers fear talking to their employees, especially around career conversations where they're not necessarily certain about what the next career step is for an employee. And helping them, lowering their level of angst about these conversations, giving them tools that can help them actually deliver in a positive way for their employees and therefore for themselves, takes a lot of work, and it's challenging. And as hard as we tried, I'm not sure that I could say today that every one of our managers is great at doing all the things we want them to do as a builder of talent in their organization. And then you've got some more traditional leaders who are in positions of authority in the company who push back on you all the time and say, I want to have a year-end review, or at least a manager summary, or I want to have a rating. I believe in that kind of differentiation. And you've got it. It's like you're starting from scratch again and saying, well, let's go back to the theories and the science, and let's try to understand what you are trying to accomplish and see if we can find another solution for it. So it's a struggle every day, and when leaders change, you have to teach a whole new group of people what we believe. And we haven't fully rolled this out to every part of the organization, so there's still heavy lifting for us to do to get this to every employee in our stores in particular. It's in our headquarters locations, but we haven't hit every store. So the journey continues.
And you're learning along the way and making tweaks here and there as you roll it out to other locations. Absolutely. Very good, sir. All right, that was my last question. Mr. Rob Ollander Krane, Head of Talent Planning and Performance at Gap. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure.
All right, everyone. That was Rob Ollander Krane. He's presenting the reinvention of performance management, less pain, more gain, at the Chief Talent Officer Exchange in Orlando. That's set for March 18th through the 20th.